to African Teapot Podcast. My name is Exie and I'm your host. Journey with me through Africa's vast variety of culture, heritage, and discuss issues most African families face, both home and abroad. Make sure you add this podcast to your frequent podcast rotations, and don't forget to share and follow this podcast. Hello guys, welcome back for our final topic, not final episode, but final topic in terms of our series for single parenthood. So if you're new, please go back a couple of weeks behind and start with the series. But anyways, today's topic is single parenthood and societal support, right? How do we support single parents in Africa? We are African Teapot. So in our African community, how do we support single parents? As always, homegirl is here. Winnie.
What up, yo?
Yes, we're here to keep this real. Anyways, it's too much. Sorry, guys. It's what we're sipping. It's becoming too much.
I'm drinking holy water. Okay.
Me too. Cheers, sis.
To holy water.
Sis. You understand why we are doing a cheers as the story progresses. But anyways, getting to it, we have another personal story to share. This time, very special. Mm-hmm. Right? Because our homegirl, drum rolls.
Mm-hmm. Drum rolls for me, because it's as juicy as it gets.
So Winnie has a story when it comes to single parenthood, giving your experience, right? Mm-hmm. I think you should do it. I know the story, but do it. I know the story, guys, but let her do it. And then after that, I will ask the questions that we received from you guys that we would ask single people who don't have kids. We want to ask them that question: why did people have kids, right? So Winnie is like, she's the right fit. So I'm going to ask all those questions that we gathered to Winnie after she gives us her story. That works, homegirl? Okay.
Hi guys, so as Enna said, this wahala is from me. If you are my African sisters, understand that. So backstory. So I met this guy, I'm going to call him John, just for privacy reasons. So I'm going to call him John. So I met John in 2018. So it was a friend's graduation party, and you know how you're just vibing, you're just dressed, feeling all nice. I was my homegirl. So that's why she laughed and said, oh, she'll let me.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Look at how innocent you look like.
Kicking at the back, guys.
Right. So we were kind of like, that night he was like, oh, I like you, blah, blah, where you from, all that job. Like, okay, where you from, what do you do, and all that stuff. So we kind of spoke, and we were like vibing and doing, of course, African parties, you know how it goes, food and music and all that. So fast forward 2 days, he was like, hey, he hit me up like, hey, what's up? I like your vibes, can I take you out? I said, oh. So I was like, yeah, we can plan on that. So I planned a date, and of course, my homegirl was there again, because I'm just kind of like, for security reasons, because I don't know who this person is per se. So I was like, just to be, okay, to make myself a little bit known, like, okay, if anything happens, Edna, you'll be here. So we went on a date.
Yes, guys, I followed my own girlfriend.
So she followed me. So my homeboy John now invited another guy.
Yeah, so it was like a double date.
It was like a double date.
I guess this is our story.
So it was like a double date. So they were like, oh, where do you want to eat? And then guess what, guys? Both of the guys dressed up in white. And me and Edna were like, no.
Wait, you know what?
We were like,
just
sorry.
We're so sorry, y'all. Just stick to the story, because the side stories are hilarious.
Okay,
let's stick to it.
So we went out, he was like, oh, we all want to eat. So we went to this sports bar. We ordered like sliders and ate and blah, blah, blah. And then we went to the night, after nightlife and stuff like that. Right. So, of course, we were vibing, dancing. And I noticed this guy is kind of like a touchy-feely person. Like, he likes to touch.
Immediately.
So I'm like, okay, I barely know you. I guess I'm just trying to know you, so I don't
But
know
you
what
like
you,
him,
but I
so-
like him. So I said, oh yeah, I like,
okay.
I like this guy. He's 6 foot tall, guys. So I'm like, okay, and he has dreadlocks. So I'm kind of giving you a visual, you know.
Nice try for not giving a name.
So that's all I can tell you. That we kind of have an idea of who, like, height-wise is a tall guy. So,
Right.
you know, we went out. These were like a couple of dates. There's some other dates that I went to that Edna
Of
was
course.
not there.
It will be creepy if I'm in
Yeah,
every day.
she's in every day. So
Yeah.
the first one, yeah. So we kind of started vibing. So around, I'm gonna put 3 months fast forward.
Yeah, let's just put
So
3-4 months.
after 3-4 months, this guy
breaks
Guys,
the coconut.
Here's the twist. This dude tells me he has a child, and I said, "Oh, you got a kid now, like alive?"
And guys, just to not, I know, guys, I'm part of the story by force, but this is 4 months now where you guys are dating. It's not
yes,
like
now we are like
you're
exclusive.
still
we are not trying to get to know each other and all that.
4
stuff.
months later, they're already
So, you know, I spent the day at his place. So we were just chilling and just relaxing and watching Netflix. And then he was like, "Oh, babe, I got something to tell you." And I said, "What's up?" You know, and he's like, "Oh, you know, I'm having a child." I said, "Okay." I said, "You mean like you have another girl pregnant?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay." So at this point, I'm laying down. And now your sister got to sit up. I said, "Okay, wait a minute. What? Wait, what?" So I'm like, "Okay, so when did you know that she was pregnant?" And she's like, "Oh, you know, I was seeing her, blah, blah, blah. And she came after we broke off after 3 months and she told me she's pregnant." So in my head, I'm like, okay, the first time I met you, would at least me, this is now me analyzing everything. And I'm like, okay, it's 3 months, 4 months now. And you're trying to tell me you didn't know she was pregnant. And then all of a sudden now you're dropping the ball to me like, okay, she told you she's expecting it. I mean, I know we females, I know after, you cannot know it until after 16 weeks. I know that. That's scientifically proven. So some people don't feel the fetus, they don't feel anything.
Right.
But to me, I'm like, I felt like at least he would have told me like, hey, I was messing with somebody and maybe this is what happened. Even if, because the way he said it to me is like he knew about it.
Right.
It was not like this female just came and dropped a ball like, hey, I'm pregnant, like today, like you knew last week or something, you see. So fast forward, I'm like, okay, then he was like, oh, you know, so I kind of say, which even if I don't even know why I did that.
Just continue.
But it's like, so we kept dating and then it's like, oh, you know, I'm not sure if this kid is mine. Because he apparently to him, this other female, she was married. She was going through.
There goes the gosh, guys.
She was still legally married, but she was separated from her husband to go through divorce. So this woman already has 2 kids of her own. And now this other one now is John's kid that is
Right.
coming out. But John is claiming that since this woman, she was living in another state. I'm not going to mention the state.
Right.
So I mean, of course, I'm in Texas. So he was here, you know, just talking. Then I said, okay. So I said, so how come? He said, oh, because she was trying to move away from the husband because of the divorce and everything. She was trying to start a new life. And then she asked him, you know, to find her a place to stay and stuff like that. So he was just doing it out of his good heart. I'm putting air quotes right here. So I said, oh, okay, fine. I said, so y'all knew each other? He said, like, yeah, we dated for like 2 years. So I said, oh, so you are dating a married woman technically to me? And he's like, oh, no, like, at some point I tried to break it off and she didn't want to let it go. And I told him, like, because she's like, the first time they met, he liked her. And she was like, I'm a married woman, but I'm separated. So I was like, okay. I know all Christians will come to me. I'm like, okay, dude, that's fornication right there. Like, you're dealing with a married woman. Regardless of whether she was separated, she's still legally married to another person.
And if she's still living there.
And she's still living in the husband's house. So now, the another twisted part, now, he says the husband called him and said, hey, I'm trying to fix my marriage, but it seems like my woman is fixated with you, so it's kind of like maybe it's almost like
you're a distraction.
You're a distraction. Yes. So I'm listening to this from his point of view.
Right.
There's always three sides to a story, right? So I'm like, okay, and the truth. So I said, you know what? Okay, Winnie. So let's see how things go. And as time went by, he's like, oh, we moved out. She moved out. So I said, oh, so she found her own place. He said, yeah. He said, oh, we are not together. There's nothing to worry about. And he's like, oh, guess what, babe? This is just between me and you. I said, okay, cool. I'm not going to mention, even to my own home girl, that we say everything. I'm sorry, home girl. I was like, okay.
It's fine.
I'm like, okay, I'll keep it secret as you want. Maybe you're not ready to speak about it. So I said, okay. My head at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm respecting your privacy.
Right.
Maybe you're not ready to speak about this child. So I said, okay, fine. Let it go. Oh, Jesus. He likes to work out. One time, I just went, and he likes to post on Facebook. One time, I didn't even see it first. One of my homegirls and some of my friends saw the video, and they're like, what? Did you hear what your guy said? I said, what? And I'm at this point, I'm at work myself, and I'm like, what the heck? Why is everybody blowing my phone? Like, what the heck is going on? And that's the first time that he announced that he's expecting a child. Everybody was like, whoa, congratulations, John. We didn't know, la, 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 la. And I'm like, okay. After all these people, my home girl and my friends, immediate friends who know the person, they're like, wait, he has a kid? And I'm like, no, he's expecting a child, yes. And he's like, I know, of course, from the tones, maybe even if they didn't say it out loud, but I can feel like, wow, why did you stay there? Kind of like, hey, like, what? He's expecting a kid and you're still there with him? And I'm like, in my point of view, when I was talking with the guy one-on-one, you know how couples are talking and, okay, babe, this is what we are doing. And I knew, like, okay, when he's going to make this announcement, me and him are going to be both in the same page. Mm-hmm. I mean, he doesn't need to ask permission from me to announce he's having a kid. Mm-hmm. But from what he told me before, me keeping quiet was like, oh, you're still not comfortable. And you claiming that, oh, you don't think this child is yours. So I was kind of lingering around like, okay, he's not sure this kid is his. So I said, okay, you're saying the woman was going back to her husband's house and coming back here because she's trying to settle down where we are, right here in Dallas. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Y'all, time went by, and boom. The next thing I saw,
the kid
arrived. And I'm like, Lord and behold, okay, the child is here. So as time went by, the kid turned 1 month, 2 months, whatever. So I'm like, okay, dude, so what's happening? Because even when the thing that I'll give it to him, even when the woman was going to give birth, I knew everything. When she was in labor, when everything was happening, I knew about everything. So the kid turned 1 month, 2 months. Of course, Africans, they do child dedication at church. So they went and did that. So I knew all that. He kind of kept me on the loop with all those things, right? So I'm like, okay, Winnie, fine, cool. He's keeping me. So I'm like, okay, he's not hiding anything from me. So I'm like, okay, fine, Winnie, I'm going to stay. So fast forward. Now the kid is like 6 months. And I'm like, okay, I'm seeing certain posts on Facebook. And then I'm seeing some comments that he makes kisses pretty. And I'm like, okay, what the heck? I thought you said you're not together anymore. So, and then the female, this woman, went ahead and commented. He went to a wedding, one of another friends that and he's like, oh, my honey, he had a rose gold jacket. And then she said, oh, y'all are looking, because he had pictures with other guys on that photo. Right. And she was like, oh, cute men, especially my honey in a rose gold, whatever. And guess who's in a rose gold blazer? John. And I'm like, okay, Winnie, am I missing something here? The name we've given him, though. I know. I'm like, okay, John. I'm like, given him John. I said, okay, Winnie. So I stepped back. I'm like, okay. I said, ooh, Jesus. So at this point now, I'm like, okay, I gotta talk to my homegirl. I'm like, girl, I don't know what's going on here, but this is kind of like just weird to me. And fast forward, the kid grew, and 2 years into this, I was like, we were kind of just not in the same space. He would be going out and acting like he doesn't know me. He sits and talks to other females out here, denying me and acting like he's single. If you ask about the kid, he doesn't want to see him. And I'm like, okay, can I meet the child? He kind of like just had excuses one time the baby mama called when I was there, and I'm like, hey, pick up the phone call. Why don't you want to pick up the phone call?
Right.
Oh, if there's an emergency, she'll text me. I said, no, it might be an emergency. That's why she's calling you. I said, just pick up the phone call. Oh, I'll pick it up later. So there are some red flags that I blame myself that I missed on, and me trying not to be looking like a bad person, but
Right.
that would be another, whatever for another
Different,
part of
but
the story.
yeah.
But just fast forward. This woman left, and she's living by herself.
Right.
And him now is also doing his own stuff. But I was like, man.
And he's still lingering.
And he's still
around
lingering.
you.
And he's still lingering around. Exactly.
Yes.
My friends who know him knows he's
Oh,
still
yes,
lingering
he
around. me.
is.
And want to act like he owns me, but I'm like, dude, no, we ain't doing
You
that.
own nobody.
He own nobody. Like,
God owns people, not you.
listen, we outside, okay? But
Yes.
that's my story.
So that's her story, guys. Sorry that I interjected. I was
You're
part of the story. But anyways, that's the story. Okay, we've already talked about this, so I don't know how to speak about it any different from you because we've already talked about it. So I'll just keep to where people have questions that they have it directed towards people that are dating people who have kids. Okay? So we are just going to go there. So the first question is, did you consider your partner as having a baggage when he first told you that he's going to be a dad?
Honestly, yes. I mean, as soon as he said that, I wanted to run. I was like, oh, Lord.
Okay.
But then this one was different.
So why did you stay?
I stayed because I was feeling like, okay, if I leave, he will feel like, oh, I got an issue with people who have kids or pregnant women. You see,
which you don't.
which I don't. So I'm like, and then the fact that you're saying you don't know if this is your child. So in the back of my head, I was like, okay, God, and I know this might sound wrong. I'm like, God, let this kid not be his. That's just me because I like the guy.
Right.
You see, so I'm like, he doesn't have kids. This is his first child. So I'm like, God, let this not be his child. But that came out different.
Okay.
The kid turned out to
So-
be his.
Did you at any point feel like you were making a sacrifice?
Especially me, I'm a young woman, millennial and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of my career, my life, my siblings. And I've never dated a guy who has a child.
It's the first time for
So it's the first time for me. So I'm thinking, okay, Winnie, I know I have to make myself look good to the mother of the kid, the other,
Yeah.
the baby mama, look good to John. At least that way he can be like, okay, this woman is safe to be around my child. You
Right.
see? So I kind of felt like, yeah, I could still do certain things, but then I also felt like I had, there's just some things that I need to fulfill.
Right.
That's how I felt. Like I felt the pressure.
Oh, you felt the pressure
Yeah, I
to
felt
stay,
to stay
in a relationship.
In a relationship, yes.
And that was coming from him.
from him, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you feel unappreciated at any point?
Yeah. Yes. When the kid was there, I kind of just saw like certain things were not, when they said the math is not mathing,
Yeah.
like 1 + 1 wasn't 2 anymore. I'm like, okay,
Right.
dude, okay. If you are doing certain things and when I ask you questions, at some point it became an issue because I was like, okay, so what are you planning? Since now you guys are living on both separate homes, like what is the way forward and stuff like that. He sounded like the woman wanted her to be with him, like they should marry because they have a kid together.
Right.
You see, but then him is like, oh no, I don't want to have a woman because she already has 2 kids. I don't know what the kids are gonna do to me. I don't know what they're gonna poison me.
So he was worried about the other. So pretty much he never had intentions of settling with her.
I don't think so.
And pretty much he indicated that he had problems with someone who's got kids.
Yeah, yes, that's what I.
But
got.
yet he
He-
kind of was, as you're saying, pressuring you to stay in the relationship, and you don't have kids, but he does.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, just thought I should point out the hypocrisy. That's a jab right there, guys. A jab. Okay, and did you at any point feel guilty for wanting to leave?
Yes, I did. As soon as he told me she was pregnant, and this was after 3 months, I I felt like you betrayed me. So it's like almost you are still playing games out here
with her and you,
and you're trying to get to
so
know
if
me.
you knew that, why stay even at that point?
I stayed because I thought maybe, okay, when this child gets here, he figures out everything. It was me and him against the world. That's just how I was looking at it.
And he gave you that impression?
And he gave me that impression. Yep.
Okay, with this conversation today, right? Are you still open to dating a single parent?
Ooh.
And if you are there any things that you would want to change in the way you approach it?
Yes.
And what aspects would those be? Or would that be?
Two things. I mean, I'm just going to mention a few. If there's a child, I have an issue if the child is still less than 1 year old.
Right.
I have a problem with that because I feel like at that point the kid is still young. They need both parents, and sometimes people separate, and then that when the kid is born, some people can change their mind and be like, "Oh my God, this human being," and they have that bonding time. I'm not saying that I'm jealous of that, but I'm just like, when I feel like if the kid is older than 10 years old, there's not so much. Excuse me. I mean, they can still bond and all that stuff, but
you're thinking time has healed a lot of wounds.
But when the kid is still less than 1 year old, less than 5 years old, things are fresh. Dealing with the 2-year-old, I'm also coming in here. He wants to spend time with me. I want to spend time with him. I know he has to see his child.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want him to be like, hey, I don't want to deal with my child because I mean, even me, I'm gonna be like, okay, wait, what? And then another recent one that I don't know, I met another guy. And
yes, guys, there are two stories. That's the twist.
And I met another guy.
I'm like, that's a twist. Thank you for listening and hope you join me for the next episode. You can always reach us via email at africanteapot@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at African_teapot. Okay, guys, to get the conclusion of Winnie's story and also to wrap up this series of single parenthood, tune in next week. And we would wrap this up because this has been going on for a couple of weeks. And then we would move on to our next topic. Thank you.